what happened to me was really wrong, and I mean, I'm a Christian, I went to Trinity, and I don't want other grads, other Christians, or even other people in different religions to have to go through anything similar to this, whether it's with this company or other companies.
Well, the lawyer representing that Trinity Western graduate says she will continue with her human rights complaint against Amaruq Corporation, even though the company might not exist in real life. Amaruq made headlines last week after Bethany Paquette's job application was rejected because she's Christian. Bethany's lawyer, Jeffrey Trotter, joins us with more from Vancouver. Jeffrey, great to see you again. Since we first had you on, and Bethany too, a lot of folks have pointed out there's a lot of holes in the story of Amaruq. They claim to be a multi-million-dollar tourism company, but no one's ever gone on a tour or seen a tour. They claim to have all this staff around the world, but it really seems like one guy is working a bunch of sock puppets. I called the telephone number, worked my way through a very complex phone tree, voicemails everywhere, finally got through to a live person, introduced myself. He hung up immediately. I talked to Amaruq's lawyer and I said by email, does your client even exist? Have you even met them? He refused to answer those basic questions. A lot of fishy things, but it is true of two things, Jeffrey. Someone did send a vicious anti-Christian email to your client, and that someone has corporately registered in BC as a company. That said, does your lawsuit proceed?
Yes, and thanks, Ezra. It does proceed. I mean, we know for sure that there is a legal company. Whether or not its operations have been greatly exaggerated or not doesn't really matter. It put a job posting on its website. A real person received my client's application and rejected that application based simply on her religion, where she went to school, what she believes. And that's contrary to the Human Rights Code, you know, even if in the details what Amaruq says about its business are not true.
Now, what if there was no job? I've since seen that at least two other girls have applied to work there for fantastic jobs, you know, paying $120,000 a year and worldwide travel. I think there's some fabulist, some fiction writer behind this with some weird game. But if there was actually no job behind the job offer, does that affect your case?
I don't think it does, Ezra. I actually got a call from a leading employment practitioner in Vancouver on Friday after he'd seen the CBC expose on Amaruq on Thursday. Very interested to know if I was proceeding, and he was glad to hear that I was. And he shares my legal intuition, which is, you know, could it possibly be a defense in a human rights complaint to say, haha, I secretly never intended to hire anyone? I mean, I don't think that's going to fly. If you had a job posting that said, you know, everyone can apply unless you're gay, and then a prospective gay applicant started a human rights complaint, do you think that the tribunal would let that prospective employer off on the basis that it was actually a hoax? I don't think so. The difference here is the Human Rights Code.
The difference here is your client is Christian, so they'll find any loophole. I got a question for you. Like I said, me and plenty of other people on the internet have been trying to hunt down this supposed personality behind Amaruq. Christopher Fregassi is his name. I doubt whether or not that is a real name. I think he has so many shells out there, so many fake things. I've seen him, evidence of him in the 90s, try and set up some fake aeronautical and astrophysics association to get people to give him personal data there. Like, I think there is a deeper story here, and he inadvertently stumbled into a human rights fight with your client. What happens if he does not show up in court? I would be skeptical that a guy who spent 20 years building a meticulous fake backstory would want to come under the scrutiny of your cross-examination where the truth about him and his companies would be revealed. What happens if he just doesn't show up at the date of your hearing?
Well, the same thing that happens in any court proceeding. We proceed in his absence, and the tribunal will, I expect, make orders against him in his absence. And he'll be bound by those orders. It's no defense to say, I didn't show up, therefore I'm not bound. If he decides not to defend, or if he defends but doesn't show up on the day of the hearing, the tribunal will hear our evidence. We've got the emails. We know where they came from. And look, I've named him personally too, so he'll be bound. And whenever we do find him, we'll serve him with the order. And he's going to have to stop discriminating. And if he fails to do that, he'll be in contempt of court.
Frankly, I'm skeptical Christopher Fregassi is even his real name. We only have about a minute left. I want you to read to me comments made by other real people. Whether or not Amaruq actually does any tourism is an open question. But it's not an open question that there is vicious anti-Christian sentiment out there. targeted at Trinity Western University because of a war against Christians in Canada's Law Societies. Can you read for me, I know you brought them on the show today, a couple of comments made in reaction to Bethany Paquette's case on the CBC comment board. So these are CBC viewers hearing the case of discrimination and choosing to side with the anti-Christian bigot. I know you got one or two there. Can you read one for me?
That's right. Yeah, these are very quick. So on the first story, for the exclusive story from last Tuesday, Daryl FN writes on the CBC comment board, "I'm on the side of the Vikings with this one," and there are 159 likes for that comment. On the fourth story, the one about the Amaroq expose, Andrew of Richmond wrote, "I would not even call back a Trinity Western graduate after this," 132 likes. So regardless of whether or not Mr. Fugazi is a one-man show or whether Amaroq really has 217 employees, it's very clear that Ms. Paquette's human rights complaint is important to protect all other Trinity Western graduates who are, the victims of this expressed intention to refuse to hire them simply because of what they believe and where they went to school.
Jeffrey Trotter, it's great to have you on the show. I'm not done hunting the Vikings here. I think they're fake. I think they're scammers. And I'm not done getting to the bottom of it.